What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a weapon video on how I build my guns, and specifically how I build my favorite weapon in Tarkov right now, which is the SR25. I started using the SR25 a few patches ago and really started to amp up how many times I choose this weapon, and I think it's because of all the sniping missions, the marksman missions, the long range encounters, and then the mid-range encounters, as well as one of my favorite maps, which is Woods. I typically like Woods, I like Shoreline, I like Customs, the mix between interior CQB and exterior long-range battles. And SR25 is kind of good for pretty much everything. Even though it's a semi-automatic weapon, it just slices the pie. It gets the job done wherever you put it. And one of the reasons why is because the ammo is one of the most consistent in Tarkov. Despite like what ammo you choose, on the upper end you have the M80 rounds, which are, in my opinion, one of the greatest budget rounds in the entire game. And then you of course have the M61 round, which is an armor piercing round. More or less, this round, it doesn't matter what armor your enemy is wearing, it will just slice through and 2-tap a thorax, 1-tap a head slot. And then the M62 round, which unfortunately it was nerfed, but it's still just as good as an M80 round, although it is tracer. So the price difference, it's pretty severe. So most players will choose on the upper end an M80 or M61 round. And of course you have a variety of different budget rounds that are a little bit more obscure and pretty much just focused and marketed to the extreme budget usage. Although there are rounds that you can use here and have some success with, like the BCP FMJ and the TCW SPs. The vast majority of players that run 308 are going to be running M80 or M61. Now for me specifically, on most days I actually still run M80 rounds, and the reason is M61s are extremely expensive, and I have had great success killing the most geared players with just rocking M80 rounds, even whenever they're running hex grids. Although you're going to need to land a couple extra shots, which can make the difference when people are running right up in your face with some higher capacity, high rate of fire weapons. The M80 round is really consistent, and I personally use this most of the time, or I will like use M80 in my magazines and top load M61. If you have the money, just running M61 is probably the preference. If you're going to be doing some scav hunting or a little bit of mixture of both, M80 is still a good round. So don't let people tell you any different. Like I said, I run M80 all the time and I have really good success with it, and I'll be making some SR25 video highlights with some PvP that I've done just to show that off a little bit. But whenever I'm going to be building my SR25, I'll show you guys what I'm looking for, and this goes for all of my weapons in Tarkov, not just SR. So if I'm building a mutant, which has semi-auto and full auto capability, 7.60 by 39 BP, which is also one of the greatest rounds in the game in my opinion, or regardless of the type of weapon, the principles still apply. So now, because I primarily play Tarkov solo and occasionally with duos or trios, very rarely, predominantly a solo player, in my opinion, a suppressor is the most important attachment in the entire game. And because we already have a KAC QDC attachment on here, then that means the PRS QDC is the go-to. And honestly, it's one of the best suppressors for 308. You can min-max and change around. As you can see, there's a variety of different flash hiders with thunder beasts and all sorts of stuff. But typically, I just like the KAC. It's one of my favorite suppressors. I believe it also adds accuracy to the weapon, reducing the MOA. But that is my typical go-to. And also, whenever I'm streaming, I slap that thing on because the suppressor or the muzzle brake is already there, so I'm good to go. I'm also a Canuck, so you'll see me run OD green attachments, which is super popular up here, especially in our military. So if I'll build something along these lines, you guys will be seeing me run the OD green attachments. I personally really like them. However, it is not best in slot. For those that watch my broadcasts, you guys know that sometimes I like to run best in slot, and other times I just build functionality and form. It doesn't need to be the best, and then also it doesn't break the bank as well. And then finally, I will go with some sort of tactical device. The X400 is my favorite tactical device if I know I'm going to be running a flashlight. A flashlight is great because obviously it blinds your enemies, and whenever you're in CQB, especially with a semi-auto, that flashlight can make the difference between you getting the extra millisecond and landing a secondary shot, and them with a full auto weapon spraying you down and going for the head eyes, right? But if I'm not going to be running a flashlight, I do actually like the Pursed, which is kind of a surprise. It's not the best at all, but I think it looks really cool. And then also there's an additional purpose to it. I personally like putting lasers on the top rail, and people call me crazy for that. But this is a really cool looking weapon build that unfortunately doesn't operate nearly as well as it did in the past because of different nerfs and changes, especially to the suppressor. Suppressors now eat away at ergonomics massively. And if you're wondering what's the importance of ergonomics, it increases your ability to handle the weapon and your aim down sight speed, which is very, very important, especially if you're going to be using DMRs. It also reduces the stamina burn whenever you are using a weapon. And typically that is also tied to the weight of the gun. The higher, not in every case, but in most cases, attachments with higher ergonomics are also lighter. Not in every case, but in most cases. So unfortunately, this is a weapon build that I would typically run all the time, but has been nerfed. But I still think it is just okay. The bare minimum ergonomic value that I will get from any gun that I build is 30. Anything under 30, in my opinion, is just unacceptable for my style of play because I'm a big mid-range player. I need to aim down sight to acquire and shoot my targets. I also got lost. I kind of got cut off with the tactical device there. Sorry about that. The Pursed, sorry, I started looking at top. There's another reason why I like the Pursed, and it's got an infrared flashlight. Now, what does that mean? An infrared flashlight, and there's multiple different attachments that have this, but you gain the same point fire benefit, or in gaming terms, hip fire, point fire. In video games, they're relatively similar, but the point fire benefit is a tighter group, more controlled group whenever you are not aiming down sights, which is also a massive benefit for people pushing you in CQB. That is the biggest counter to a weapon like this. Whenever people are up in your face, pushing you, you want to be as accurate as possible. And the infrared flashlight gives you that accuracy bonus without giving away your location. And that is why you see the top players use things like D-balls, for example, which is a bit more of an expensive option, but the D-ball is used because it gives you the infrared, it gives you the flashlight, and it gives you two different color schemes for tactical devices. However, I'm just kind of sick and tired of running into D-balls all the time, so I prefer the Pursed. D-ball is a better choice. Again, we're not going for best in slot here. So, given what I just said, there's a lot that we can do to make this gun better, and I do now. So, although I prefer the cosmetic appeal of something like this, I recognize we can make some changes. So, although I will probably keep the MOE OD here, the easiest thing that we can do is upgrade to either a Growl, which is going to give us increased ergonomics, or even the PSG-1 right here, which is kind of nice. Actually, I didn't actually know. I thought they're actually the same now, which is a change. So either or works really well. And then in terms of the foregrip, the M-Lock is actually not that bad. But if you're looking for different options, of course, the Fortis shift is best in slot for ergonomics. So that is always an option. But there's some more. SE5, very close if you don't want to break the bank, and also cosmetically looks really cool. And then lastly, the Magpul RVG foregrip. Not a horrible option, but very similar. In fact, the exact same stats as the M-Lock. So this variant right here is actually one that I do run all the time because it gives me the OD green color scheme that I like. It gives me the infrared tactical device and laser system that I prefer. I have a suppressor on the end of the barrel, and we have the ergonomics, which is around 40, which in my opinion is the sweet spot between having a suppressor and using a DMR. So let's buy up these attachments. Actually, I think I need to convert into some USD right now. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this weapon is not cheap by any means. It is 200,000 rubles, including the price of the weapon, not including the ammunition. But it is very, very functional. So you will have to pay a premium for a lot of weapons that are in that sweet spot, especially some of the DMRs where they have both that suppression, they have the optic, they got the higher ergonomics, and that is just a reality. Oh, wow. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened during my video. No way. Oh my gosh. Yo, I've been looking for this fire steel for like, I think 6 days. Yeah, I've been looking for this for 6 days. It's been one of my primary missions. And wow, okay, awesome. Fuck, that's so cool. I'm gonna turn it in right now. Man, I'm glad I was recording. So we only need the Loot Lord plushie and level 71. We'll talk about that another time, going on the way to 71. But the Loot Lord plushie, that is a great sorry, the fire steels are a really good find, and the Loot Lord plushie is not going to be that bad. I'm just not much of a duffel bag and stash looter most of the time, so I will definitely hunt that down. Wow, that is very lucky. Okay, so back to what we're here for. This SR-25. Again, this is the gun for me, this wipe. This is the weapon. If I don't know anything else, regardless of the map, maybe other than factory and maybe labs, but I've actually taken this weapon into labs just with a different scope. This is the all-around just go-to gun for me, or variation similar to this. Very, very good, very solid, controllable vertical recoil. Actually, make sure you guys can see this. So the burst on the front, the mouse shows up whenever you're in the hideout, by the way. So we got the laser device. This is the infrared flashlight that I was talking about. So if I don't want to give away my location with the laser, and I do actually like the laser, sometimes I prefer to have it on, but if I don't want to give away my location, there we go, we have it on. Makes me feel accurate. And if you're probably wondering, hey, doesn't the laser on the top rail get in the way of the Alcan? Well, for me personally, I don't mind it. If people do mind it, just put it on the bottom barrel. But whenever I'm scoped in, I don't see it at all, so I don't actually mind. The Alcan is my favorite scope in Tarkov. It has been for a very long time. You get the top iron sight that's used for spotting. It might not be nearly as good as it was in the past. It used to be a 2x, now it's a 1x, but I still use it. I'll be sitting in a position just scanning the terrain, and I'll be looking at the very top of my screen. So it just gives me a lot of clarity, and then I can just like quick switch back to a scope, go back to scanning, quick into the scope, go back to scanning. So to me, it's one of the greatest DMR optics in Tarkov, and you'll frequently see me use it for that reason. So what are the main takeaways when it comes to building my go-to weapons? I like to keep the ergonomics around 40 with the suppressed weapon. And I want to make sure the weapon looks really cool and also has some sort of laser tactical device. And the ammunition is extremely important. I want these rounds to be able to at least headshot a class 4 helmet. That is kind of the bare minimum with me. If it doesn't one-tap a class 4 helmet, I want to think about the types of rounds that I'm running and maybe choose a different option. And then if anything like an SNB or M61 round that's capable of quickly killing class 5, class 6 body armor players, that is also preferential. But in this case, M80 or M61 for the SR-25 is my go-to rounds. So this is the gun. This has been the weapon of choice for me. So If you found this video useful or interesting, definitely like it. If you have any questions, definitely leave it in the comment section below. And before you write, well, this mod is better than this mod, blah, 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 blah. And I just want to make that one more time. I want to make it apparent that, yes, there are other options out there, especially increasing the barrel length, which something that I sometimes do. But as you can see, the exact same variant, we lose 9 ergonomic points and we barely gain any noticeable vertical recoil increase. We do get a little bit more accurate, but not by much. So if people are going to be asking me on that, but yeah, anyway, this is the go-to weapon. Looks cool, functions great, slices it up. Probably the weapon that has eliminated the most PMCs for me this wipe thus far, and probably in my Tarkov career for the past 2 years. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all during the stream.